Hey guys. Well, we have a very unique day upon us today that is very much centrally focused on the black moon, which represents our shadow side issues. There is a big opposition going on in the sky today between the sun in Sagittarius and the black moon in Gemini. This is a light shining directly into the shadows of our psyches, trying to show us the truth. And this aspect is actually being supported by both of the rulers of Gemini and Sagittarius today, where this aspect is playing out. There's a lot going on. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today is Tuesday, December 7th, 2021. My name is Aubrey, and this is your astrological outlook for the day. Now, this is a day that only comes once every year when the sun comes into an opposition, an exact opposition by degree to the black moon. And this year it happens to be happening while the black moon is in Gemini and the sun is in Sagittarius. Now, this is a really profound aspect. Usually when we're dealing with black moon energy, we experience this energy twice a month when the moon, which rules our emotions, our internal environment, our feelings, either comes into a conjunction with the black moon or an opposition. So usually whenever the moon is in the sign each month of the black moon or the sign opposite the black moon, we experience these black moon energetics. And the black moon, like I said, it rules our shadow side. It rules our subconscious programming. It rules the hidden powerful forces, very powerful forces in the deep recesses of our psyche that actually play a very significant, fundamental, and large, profound role in the experiences that we attract into our lives, the circumstances, the relationships, the habits and patterns that we find ourselves in. A lot of times that is really being driven by this very powerful subconscious force that we don't even necessarily perceive as being there or even existing or happening because it's subconscious and it's not something that we can see, but a lot of times it keeps us in these patterns of behavior based on conditioning and programming that we picked up throughout the course of our life that may not be actually what's in our best interest and may actually be quite opposite to what we want with our conscious mind. That is what the black moon rules. It's our shadow side issues, the parts of ourselves that we don't see or acknowledge as being these powerful motivators behind our perceptions and our attitudes and our behaviors, and therefore the experiences that we attract into our life and the relationships that we attract into our life. Very, very powerful force on a deep psychic level, okay? And once a year, we have the sun, our light, our source of fuel that gives us everything that we need to grow and thrive and feel alive in this reality, coming into an exact opposition with that black moon. And that is shining a light directly into these shadows, really lighting up our awareness in terms of these issues and their impact on us, and allowing us to really have an opportunity to see and perceive how these hidden forces, shadow side influences are really operating to affect our life and experience. And today is that day. And it's also interesting because this is happening with the sun in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the sign of truth and a greater understanding. And so the motivation behind this is based on us needing to come into a higher form of truth and understanding in terms of how these shadow side influences are really affecting our lives and our relationships and our circumstances and our experiences generally. Now, it's also interesting because if you watched my new moon report or if you were paying attention to the energetics for the new moon, on the new moon in Sagittarius that we just had, which was also a solar eclipse, Mercury was exactly opposite the black moon. And the new moon itself was in a 3-degree orb opposition from the black moon. So black moon energy is actually in effect all month. This is a drama that is sort of playing out throughout the entire course of this month, where we're really being asked to have the conscious awareness to really perceive these shadow side issues, come into an awakening in terms of the truth about them, and begin to actually integrate and heal so that we can be released from any type of bondage that they have been holding us in one form or another. throughout the course of our lives. And so with the sun today coming to 16 degrees of Sagittarius, while the black moon is at 16 degrees of Gemini and activating where Mercury was for the new moon, there could be lots of information, conversations, learning things, going back and forth, debates, arguments regarding these specific shadow side issues. People could be very, very, very triggered today. We'll just put it like that. Now, I want to talk for just a second before I get back into all of this and all the energetics. Like I said, this black, from an astrological perspective, the energy today is like really, really profound because, we have the ruler of both the sign where the black moon is and the ruler of the sign where the sun is today for these oppositions, also making exact aspects that are really doing a lot to help this process of us gaining truth and awakening through reflection and being able to actually see and perceive and consciously be aware of these shadow side issues. But let's talk about the Sabian symbols, the degree placements of the planets today, because they're going to come up and they're going to be relevant through this report. So I just want to mention them up front. For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. For those of you who are coming back with me again today, thank you so much. It is always a joy to have you here. I love it when you guys come back with me. But the Sabian symbols, what they are is a group of energetics that describes each and every one of the 360 degrees of the zodiac. Whenever there's a planet at a specific degree discharging that degree, we can look to the symbol that is associated with that specific degree, and it really just gives us more information about what the underlying purpose of the planet being at that degree, making whatever aspect with another planet, what it gives us context about, like I said, the underlying purpose of why this is happening in the overall context of this grand unfolding astrological saga, astrological story that is constantly and perpetually carrying us through time and space, and at this point in time is carrying us on a one-way ticket to the age of Aquarius. So that's what the Sabian symbols are, and I always use them when I'm analyzing energetics because I really feel like they do just give us that, little bit more of the specific information that can help us navigate through these energies. So 16 degrees of Sag where the sun is today, and you will remember this if you watched my new moon video because this is where Mercury was. The Sabian symbol is seagulls fly around a ship in search of food. And then 16 degrees of Gemini where the black moon is currently and where the earth is today. You see, the earth is always in a polar opposition to the sun. And so when we have the sun in the opposition to the black moon, that means that actually the earth itself is in a conjunction to the black moon. And that means to me that on the ground today, we are really possibly going to be real triggered, real in our feelings, real going through it, and really unable to avoid, having to look at our own darkness or the truth of our fears or where we haven't been taking accountability. That type of thing, the earth is in it today. We are going through it today in terms of these shadow side issues being really shown to us so that it's all, and you'll see this. And I mean, you already know this if you've been following my work and, the trajectory that we're headed on right now. At the end of the day, this is all happening to help us break free from our own prisons that we've kept ourselves in so that we can align with the authentic truth and the potential that we hold inside of us, cultivate our own inner resources, create this value that we can then serve out to the world and attract abundance and receive that same reflection of what we're giving for ourselves. And that is sort of what universe is trying to urge us all to do right now, because that is the collective transition into the age of Aquarius. But it can't happen if we're still being controlled and overpowered by these unseen, hidden psychological forces that we don't even realize are going on, that are really dictating our behavior and our attitude and our vibration, and therefore what we can attract into our lives. So yeah, all that. But anyways, 16 degrees of Gemini, where both the black moon and the earth today, that degree is a woman activist on a platform in an emotional speech, dramatizing her cause. And we will come back and talk more about these symbols later when I start talking about the actual aspects, but I just want to read the ones that I'm looking at today so that so that when I bring them back up, you already know what I'm talking about. We also have Mercury today at 21 degrees of Sagittarius. Now remember, Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, where the black moon is right now. And that puts an emphasis on Mercury and what Mercury is doing today, because they're working together. The black moon in Mercury's sign and what's going on with Mercury today, these things are working together. And Mercury at 21 degrees of Sagittarius, that degree is a child and a dog with borrowed eyeglasses. So there's definitely a shift in perspective that's going on today. I'm also looking at the degrees today of Mars. That degree, Mars is at 27 degrees of Scorpio. This degree is a military band, marches noisily through the city streets. And then we have Jupiter at 27 degrees of Aquarius today, an ancient pottery bowl filled with violets. And I'm also looking at the degrees of the North and the South node today as well. 2 degrees of Gemini, Santa Claus furtively filling stockings hanging by the fireplace. And 2 degrees of Sagittarius, the ocean covered in whitecaps for the South node. So those are the specific degrees that I'm looking at today in conjunction with the energetics. Now let's talk again, let's go back with that being said and talk about, just for a few more minutes, this black moon sun opposition today. So basic themes associated with that we could experience, aside from what I've already kind of alluded to as this video has been going on, facing fears, taking accountability, realizing our shadow side issues, fears, and issues regarding choices as well, decisions, options, partnerships, siblings, thinking, communicating, and duality. Because remember, the black moon is in Gemini right now, and this can definitely bring up some type of fears or just difficulties or issues in terms of these Gemini related things. Like I said, choices, decisions, options, partnerships, siblings as well. Just our thought process, our ideas, how our mind is working, communicating, and themes around duality as well, exposing our fears and how they control us. That really is the underlying purpose behind this. And with Mercury at that degree today, a child and a dog with borrowed eyeglasses, there really is some type of swap or switch or shift in perspective that is going on alongside of that, which makes sense, because it's like, normally we are seeing reality and ourselves from one perspective, but today with the moon and the opposition of the black moon, we're really being asked to reflect on ourselves from a whole different perspective. And this is being alluded to again by the degree of Mercury today. And also remember, this is reactivating Mercury's placement opposite the black moon for this new moon that we just had, while the black moon was in the sign ruled by Mercury. So lots of emphasis on talking, communicating, learning, teaching, things going back and forth, and definitely specifically in regards to fears and discovering these deep internal facets of ourselves that we are gaining this conscious awareness of in one way or another this week. And also people just generally very, very triggered. Today, tomorrow, just this whole week, generally, like, people may be acting real ugly. And it's not necessarily always for a bad reason. A lot of people are hitting their breaking point right now. It's the last straw for a lot of people right now, and people are feeling very inspired and courageous in a lot of cases to really speak their mind and break themselves free from any situation that has been unfair or really not good for them in some type of a way. So on one octave, there could be a lot of just hostility and anger in that dynamic for people just like being done and like having had enough. But also on the other hand, there is definitely this opportunity for people just being like hyper triggered, especially those of us who have a more difficult time of taking accountability and, realizing the impact of our behavior and that how it can affect other people and stuff like that. Like, there could be just extreme levels of projection, extreme levels of cognitive dissonance, and extreme levels of people sort of like spiraling out of control or just being very mentally unstable or having a lot of anxiety, like panic attacks and stuff like that as well, sort of like bubbling up from like the deep recesses, of course, of the psyche, because everything is coming up right now to be made visible and like seen and cleared and stuff like that. So yeah, people could definitely just be kind of losing it this week and feeling very mentally unstable for one way or another. So being grounded, staying grounded is something that could potentially help us with this energy. Yeah, mental issues, anxiety, cognitive dissonance, projection, especially, like I said, for people who aren't willing to see their own darkness and take accountability for it and to heal and integrate it, they will likely be struggling significantly under these energetics. So just keep that in mind. If there's anybody in your life that has a tendency of having a more difficult time of, like I said, taking accountability or seeing their own darkness, these could be some more difficult times or choppy waters if you're navigating any type of scenario like this. So just something to keep in mind with this. Okay, so yes, number one, the sun opposite the black moon today, really powerful, really significant, really working to bring awakening to the truth of where our subconscious shadow side issues have been controlling us and having the ability to break free from that. Now, let's talk about breaking free, because this is another huge theme of this day. Like when I was looking at these energetics today, I was like, wow, like this is really fitting together perfectly. Like universe did a fabulous job with the blueprint on things today. And I'm like excited to talk about this just because it's so perfect. So we have the sun in the opposition to the black moon, while the black moon is in Gemini today, right? Like I said. Now, I also said that Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. Now, Mercury today, being at that degree, 21 Sag, talking about the child and the dog with borrowed eyeglasses and the change of perspective, seeing things from a different perspective today, is also at 21 degrees of Sagittarius, forming an exact trine to the Eris point. Now, the Eris point is located at 21 degrees of Aries. The Sabian symbol of that degree is a boxer entering the ring. It is the point in the sky where the planet Eris was originally discovered. This specific point in the sky is the ultimate in the break the chains energy. Freedom for the sake of freedom, truth for the sake of truth, authenticity for the sake of authenticity. The Eris point reminds me a lot of the Aquarian, Uranian archetypes and frequencies as well. And it really is just about throwing off the chains, breaking free from the shackles, liberating ourselves from any type of bondage that has been keeping us out of alignment with truth, integrity, authenticity, and like what is genuinely real and right for us. And so with the Mercury, the messenger planet, at 21 degrees of Sagittarius today, forming the trine in fire signs to the Eris point, this inherently is freeing our mind. We're breaking the shackles of things that have been controlling us through our mind. And what is the sun doing today with the black moon? Showing us the truth about where we have been being controlled through these unconscious, subconscious processes that are going on in our mind while we're in a lunar cycle that had Mercury, that same messenger planet, in the trine to the Eris point today, ruling the sign of the black moon in an exact opposition to the black moon for the solar eclipse new moon in Sagittarius that we just had. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is... I can't even find the words to properly explain the precision and perfection of these alignments today in terms of helping us break through mind control that we didn't even necessarily know was mind control or was operating in the background of our algorithms. That's like really what's going on today. And again, with Mercury in the trine to the Eris point, a boxer entering the ring, there could be fighting words, there could be conflict, there could be debate for sure, there could be heated words, there could be explosive conversations going on, but it is all for the purpose of showing us the truth about where we've been giving our power away without even knowing it. Venus in conjunction with Pluto, we have that going on today as well on the side, which is also very much about that same thing. We are in just a week right now following our last eclipse over the weekend in Gemini and Sag, where we are just really coming to some very profound realizations about things, seeing things from a different perspective, and it really freeing our mind and changing the course essentially of our reality going forward. So Yeah, we got that going on today too. Mercury in the trine to the Eris point. That is just like insanely synchronistic and ironic. Like it makes me just want to do like a collective little happy dance for everybody because it's so like just perfect the way that was written to come into like fruition like that. Now we have something else going on today that is also like simultaneously as interesting and significant, and that is Jupiter, who is ruling Sagittarius. Remember, we were just speaking about Mercury, who is ruling Gemini, where the black moon is today. Now the sun is in Sagittarius, and Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. And what is Jupiter doing today? Well, Jupiter is at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. And today we begin day one of Mars and Jupiter in an exact square to each other. Mars moves to 27 degrees of Sag today, Scorpio today. And Mars will be at that same degree tomorrow. So this is a 2-day activation that is starting today, and this is more energy about like a great awakening, about like really having motivation and drive to solve and heal root issues and regenerate into something that is more authentic and aligned with truth. And because it's Jupiter, this is a very expanded energy. Because it's Mars, this is a very passionate, fiery, willful, motivated energy. We have to watch having an overblown ego with this aspect because that can sometimes happen. And that is another thing to keep in mind as well with these black moon energetics and these Eris point energetics today. People who are typically used to operating out of a more ego-oriented dynamic may really, really be having a hard time holding it together today, and maybe like putting on some real big displays of anger or emotion or just some type of overblown action or impulse or something like that. But it could be a result, like projection too with this, like in a really big way. If people, that's another thing to keep in mind today with all of the potential for this projection, like today is not the day where you want to wear what somebody else is putting on you, okay? Like if you feel like you're like under attack today for some type of a reason, do not take it with a grain of salt. And actually, it's probably better to take that interaction as a kind of data that is really showing you what is truly going on with the person that you're dealing with. Because with projection, the way that works is, oftentimes we get like blamed for and accused of things that someone else has actually been doing because they don't want to take accountability for it within themselves. So it's easier for them to just like put it on someone else, blame them or accuse them of doing it, so that it like takes the heat off of that individual and allows them a way to criticize that behavior, but in somebody else instead of within themselves. So if you are experiencing issues with projection today and people just really having some serious trigger moments, like today is really not the day when you want to be taking other people's verbalizations to you to heart. They're really probably more a reflection of what is going on and who that person actually is and what they're struggling with within themselves, not so much about, you really at all, if you find yourself in some type of dynamic like that today. Because there is just, with Mercury trine to the Eris point ruling the black moon today, and with Jupiter in the square to Mars ruling the sun today, while they are both in this exact opposition, very big potential for some explosive type of verbalization or something like that going on. And again, it can go either way. It can be somebody like reacting in a really poor way because they are really struggling with their own issues, or it can be somebody getting to an absolute breaking point, finally putting their foot down and standing up for themselves and doing it in like a very bold or sort of explosive type of way. So energy today is just likely to be big and motivated and enthusiastic and inspired to be liberated from anything or anywhere or anyone that we feel like is not recognizing our value and not treating us in accordance with how we know at this point that we want to be treated and what we are no longer willing to accept. Remember, the sun today for this activation at 16 Sag, seagulls fly around a ship in search of food. To me, this degree brings up themes of both opportunism as well as accepting scraps. And I really think that that is what this energy is trying to show us, either where, and it's a polarity. Polarities are very, very strong today too, because first of all, the black moon works in polarities, and we got a black moon activation. So that highlights polarities right there. And it's happening in the sign of Gemini, which rules polarities. So it's almost like there's two very specific polarities along which these energies could be playing out today. And, on one hand, it's like opportunism and trying to take advantage or to continue to draw from someone, or to opportunism and trying to take advantage of someone for own personal gain, sort of really having some difficult experiences doing that in this energetic. Or on the flip side, finally acknowledging that we are no longer going to accept scraps or going to settle for less than we deserve, or going to, allow ourselves to be underappreciated and undervalued, and really experiencing, maybe some difficulty as a result of finally putting your foot down and standing in your power and the consequences that may arise from that. So either way, it does trigger these black moon issues, because that is really what we need to be aware of in order to break ourselves free from any type of mental conditioning that has been keeping us in any type of stagnant patterning that has not been acknowledging the truth of our internal value, the resources we hold within us, and our ability to cultivate those and to really activate our destiny and activate our potential. That is what universe is pushing us towards right now, and it really can't happen in a lot of the dynamics that we have set up for ourselves at this point in time, while we have been operating in the dark throughout the course of our lives, until the age of Aquarius comes knocking on our door, and all of a sudden everything just changed, and now we're really going to get a good view of our shadows. So we have that going on today as well. The last thing that I want to talk about today is that we have our moon in Aquarius. Age of Aquarius, have the moon for this day today happens to be in Aquarius, and early Aquarius. So you know what that moon in Aquarius is doing? That moon in Aquarius is forming a trine to the north node in Gemini, again ruled by Mercury, making the trine to the Eris point, and the south node in Sagittarius, again ruled by Jupiter, making the square to Mars. So the moon making the placement, by its placement in Aquarius today, is actually emphasizing on an internal level an alignment, a facilitating alignment with both the ruler of the sun and the ruler of the black moon today, and forming the aspects, the positive aspects, the trine and the sextile to the north and the south node. This is also telling us that whatever is transpiring today is actually helping to facilitate and to put us on the path that we are supposed to be walking down going forward, that is going to lead to our greatest evolution, our greatest soul growth, our ability to shift our frequency and come into alignment with this authentic truth, and then be able to cultivate our resources and provide value externally that then is reflected back to us in terms of abundance, value, love, and fulfillment in our external world as well. And this is the transition, like I always say, into the age of Aquarius, and with the moon in the trine to the north node today in Gemini, ruled by Mercury, in the trine to the Eris point, what we're breaking free from today is truly destined and a part of our path forward. And the same energy by sextile to the south node is helping us to emotionally release whatever belief systems, dogmas, perceptions that we are still holding on to that are keeping us from this new trajectory, this new path towards fulfillment going forward. So that's really what it is. That's what we got going on today. All really ties together in this beautiful bow of self-discovery, self-analysis, and really breaking our own programming, and the impact that that has on the entire trajectory of our lives going forward, because things are changing, times are changing, timelines are changing, the world is changing, everything is changing based on this frequency vibrational shift that is going on right now. And a major facet of that experience is this light being shown into the depths of our own psyches so that we can crack our own codes, so that we can be liberated from the algorithms that essentially control our behavior and our thoughts and our feelings and what we attract into our lives, so that we can truly become the masters of our own reality in correspondence with the age of Aquarius and go on to co-create with God and universe, which is also synonymous with the Aquarian age, the Aquarian frequency, the Aquarian vibrations and archetypes that we are headed towards and are coming in now. So yet again, another very big day in our transcendence energetically into the age of Aquarius. Could be a tough one, but it's also a really beautiful one, and it is so divinely planned, just like so perfectly. So good things are going to come of this. And again, with the nodes, the north and the south node being activated with this today as well, definitely more destiny and fate and karma in effect with this as well. So let's talk real quick. I have 3 minutes. Let's talk real quick about the tarot. I was shuffling tarot cards this morning, asking Spirit, please give me some cards that will clarify the collective energy today. Where are we at? What's going on? I got 2 cards coming out. Very, very self-explanatory again, like yesterday. First card that came out was the 4 of Wands in reverse. Second card that came out was the 6 of Swords upright. These 2 cards in reverse, these 2 cards together, this, when this card is upright, it is talking about happy relationship dynamics, happy home, stable foundation. When it's in reverse, this is talking about issues in relationships, issues in family life, issues in home life, issues with partnerships. And the 6 of Swords, this is moving on from something, moving on to safer waters, moving on from something that has been not so good for us. It's safe passage. So, these 2 cards together, the way that I'm reading this, and this goes right along with the energy that we have going on this week, incoming this week, and also the fact that we are in this eclipse. Right after this eclipse, I really do think that there's a lot of relationship shakeups, breakups, and all of that going on. And their households, things might be sort of shaky right now, might be falling apart. The foundation of things might not feel safe and secure at the moment, but we are actually moving on to safer waters, and we have safe travel. There is safe travel. The moon and trine to the north node, everything is going as planned, and we are protected as we go on this journey. And on the back of the deck, we had the Empress in reverse, and this is telling me that the reason that things are not that great right now, that our foundation might not be that sturdy, that we might be experiencing, some insecurities or discomforts or shakeups in relationships or comforts or material possessions, is because of the lack of love, the lack of nurturing, and the lack of maybe abundance or creative potential that we've been receiving. We haven't been being fed with the right energy. Our cup hasn't been being filled up properly. And that really is what is causing the issues right now in our discomfort, and also what we really want to move away from. So let me see if I have enough time to do this synchronicity card. I'm just going to grab one really quick because I don't have time to shuffle them all the way. It says persist. This is a message from God that we just need to hear right now. It says, because of his persistence, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. Luke 11:8-9. Nothing is too large or too small, and your persistence in believing in God's ability to provide whatever it is you seek will bring to you your goal. Persistence, waiting, patience, and never failing faith will lead you to your goal. And this is great advice with all of the deep feelings that may be triggered at this point in time, with all of this black moon energy, everything that we are breaking away from right now, everything that is potentially, crumbling right now, so that a stronger foundation can be built. We need to persist, and we need to stay strong, and we need to not give up. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends if you think they would be interested. Leave me comments. I absolutely love you guys' comments. I have a Facebook page and a Facebook group if you're interested in that. And come back with me tomorrow. We have another